I need to tell you about the week my entire life imploded, about how the woman I thought I knew turned out to be someone I'd never met, about how one conversation with a stranger revealed that everything I believed about my relationship was a carefully orchestrated lie. But first you need to understand who I thought she was so you can understand how completely she fooled me. My name is Alex, and I'm 32 years old. I was supposed to get married last month to a woman named Kara, who I'd been with for 2 years. I'm a software engineer, and I work remotely, which is important to this story. Kara was a pharmaceutical sales rep, which meant she traveled constantly for work, or at least that's what she told me. We met at a friend's wedding. I was there solo, she was there solo, we ended up sitting at the same table. She was beautiful and funny and easy to talk to. We spent the whole reception together and exchanged numbers at the end of the night. She texted me the next day and we went on our first date that weekend. From the start, our relationship had a lot of distance built into it. Kara traveled for work all the time. She'd be gone for days, or sometimes a full week, visiting different cities to meet with doctors and hospitals about the medications her company produced. She said it was exhausting, but the money was good, and she was saving up for her future. When she was in town, we spent as much time together as possible. Long dinners, movie nights at my place, weekend getaways when her schedule allowed. She was attentive and loving when we were together. She'd text me constantly when she was traveling, sending photos of different cities, complaining about hotel rooms, counting down until she could come home to me. I fell hard and fast. After 6 months, I asked her to move in with me. She said she wanted to, but her lease wasn't up for another few months, and breaking it would be expensive. She said once her lease ended, she'd love to live together. I was patient. We had time. But when her lease did end, she said she needed to keep her own place because of work. She said she needed somewhere to store all her work materials and samples, and that having her own space made it easier to manage her travel schedule. It made sense, even though I was disappointed. So she got a small apartment across town that I'd only been to a handful of times. She said it was boring and barely furnished since she was never there anyway. A year into our relationship, I proposed. We were on vacation at the beach, and I'd planned this whole elaborate setup with a private dinner on the sand. She cried and said yes, and we called our families right away. Everyone was thrilled for us. We set a date for 15 months out to give us time to plan and save. Planning the wedding was harder than I expected because of Kara's travel schedule. She'd be gone during meetings with the venue or the caterer. I'd go to cake tastings alone and send her photos. She'd apologize constantly, saying she wished her job wasn't so demanding, but we needed the money for our future. I understood. I picked up most of the planning responsibilities and kept her updated on everything. She did manage to be there for the important stuff. She went dress shopping with her mom and bridesmaids. She helped choose the invitations. She had opinions on flowers and music. When she was present, she was fully present and excited about the wedding. It felt real. About 6 months before the wedding, Kara said her company was restructuring sales territories. She'd be traveling even more for the next few months, really ramping up her numbers before she took time off for the wedding and honeymoon. Some weeks I'd barely see her. She'd fly out Monday morning and not come back until Friday night, or she'd be gone for 10 days straight. I missed her, but I supported her career. She was working hard for our future. She'd come home exhausted and stressed, and I'd try to make things easy for her. I'd have her favorite meals ready, run her a bath, let her decompress. She'd tell me about difficult doctors and long drives and terrible hotel beds. I believed every word. The wedding was planned for a Saturday in June. 1 week before, everything was ready. The venue was set, the flowers ordered, the catering confirmed. Out-of-town guests were starting to arrive. My parents flew in that Tuesday. Kara's parents were driving up from 3 states away and would arrive Thursday. Wednesday afternoon, I was working from home when someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I was confused when I opened it to find a man I'd never seen before standing there. He was probably my age, maybe a little older, tall with dark hair, dressed in jeans and a button-down shirt. He looked upset. "Can I help you?" I asked. "Are you Alex?" He asked. "Yeah, who are you?" "My name is Ryan. I need to talk to you about Kara." My stomach dropped. Something about the way he said her name, with such familiarity and pain, made me immediately anxious. "What about Kara?" He took a deep breath. "This is going to sound insane, and I'm so sorry to do this to you, but Kara is my girlfriend. We've been together for 3 years, and I just found out she's engaged to you." I stared at him. "What are you talking about?" "Kara's my fiancée. We're getting married on Saturday." "I know," he said. "I saw the invitation, but she's also my girlfriend. She's been with me this entire time. That's impossible. You must have her confused with someone else. He pulled out his phone. Let me show you. He showed me photos. Kara and him together at restaurants, at parks, at what looked like his apartment. Photos that were recent, some from just weeks ago. He showed me text messages between them, messages from that very morning where she told him she loved him and missed him and would see him soon. I felt dizzy. This can't be real. I wish it wasn't, Ryan said. But I've been with Kara for 3 years. She told me she was a pharmaceutical sales rep, that she traveled constantly for work. But I just found out that's not entirely true. What do you mean? He pulled out a piece of paper, an invitation to a wedding. I stared at it in confusion and then realized what I was looking at. It was a wedding invitation for Kara and Ryan. The wedding was supposed to be in 3 weeks, in a different state. I don't understand, I said. Ryan's hands were shaking. 2 days ago, I got a message from someone I don't know. They sent me a screenshot of Kara's Instagram story showing her and you looking at wedding venues. The caption said, "Can't wait to marry this man." I confronted her about it. At first, she tried to say you were just a friend, that it was a joke. But I pushed, and eventually she admitted she's been seeing you too. Seeing me? We're engaged. We're getting married in 4 days. I know, because after she admitted she was seeing you, I did some digging. I found your wedding website. I found photos of you two together. I found out your wedding is this Saturday. And then I realized, Ryan's voice broke, that our wedding is in 3 weeks. She's planning 2 weddings. That's not possible. You can't plan 2 weddings. He showed me more evidence. A different wedding venue, different invitations, different guest list, photos of Kara trying on wedding dresses, but in different styles than the one she'd shown me, an engagement ring on her finger that looked similar to mine but wasn't quite the same. She's been engaged to both of us, Ryan said, this entire time. You and me were both planning to marry the same woman, and neither of us knew about the other. I couldn't process it. My brain refused to make sense of what he was showing me. How is that even possible? How could someone plan 2 weddings without either person finding out? Ryan sat down on my front steps like his legs couldn't hold him anymore. I've been trying to figure that out. The travel schedule was part of it. She told me she was a sales rep too, that she was always on the road. But I think the travel was actually her going between us. When she told me she was working, she was with you. When she told you she was working, she was with me. But we've been together for 2 years. Where was she living? She has an apartment, he said. Or I thought she did. She said she kept her own place because of work. I'd been there a few times, but she said she preferred staying at my place because hers was small and boring. She told me the exact same thing. I've been to her apartment maybe 3 times. He looked at me with this expression of devastation and realization. I bet if we compared addresses, it's the same apartment. She kept a place as a cover, somewhere to tell both of us she lived, but she was actually living between our places. My mind was racing. All those trips she took for work, the weeks she was gone. The time she'd be at my place for a few days and then disappear for a week. I thought she was traveling for work, but she was actually with Ryan. And when she was with him, she was telling him she was traveling for work when she was actually at my place. How did you find me? I asked. I looked you up, found your social media, got your address from your wedding website. I had to tell you, I couldn't let you marry her without knowing. Does she know you're here? No. When I confronted her about you, she broke down and admitted everything. She said she loved both of us, that she couldn't choose, that she'd gotten in too deep and didn't know how to get out. She begged me not to say anything, said she'd figure it out, but I couldn't just let this happen. Where is she now? She thinks I'm at work. She's at my apartment, or she was this morning. I pulled out my phone and called Kara. It went straight to voicemail. I tried 3 more times. Nothing. I texted her, "We need to talk. Call me immediately." Ryan and I sat there on my front steps in silence. 2 men who'd been planning to marry the same woman. Both of us trying to understand how we'd been so completely fooled. How much of it was real? I finally asked. Did she love either of us? Or was this all just some game to her? Ryan shook his head. I've been asking myself the same thing. 3 years I've been with her. 3 years of building a relationship, planning a future. Was any of it real, or was I just convenient? We compared notes, figured out the timeline. Kara had met Ryan first about 3 years ago. They dated for a year before he proposed. She said yes. They started planning a wedding. Then she met me about 6 months after getting engaged to Ryan. Started seeing me while engaged to him. After dating me for 6 months, I proposed to, and she said yes to me as well. For over a year, she'd been engaged to both of us, planning two weddings, maintaining two completely separate relationships, living two entirely different lives. Ryan showed me texts where she talked about wedding planning with him, choosing flowers, tasting cake, picking a venue. At the same time, she was doing the same things with me. She'd go to a venue with me on Saturday and then go to a different venue with him the next weekend. How did no one notice? I asked. Her family, her friends. How did none of them realize she was engaged to two different men? Ryan thought about it. Her family lives far away. Her parents are divorced and don't talk much. She doesn't have a lot of close friends. The people she invited to our wedding are mostly my friends and family. What about yours? Same. Her side of the guest list was small. She said she didn't have a big family, and most of her friends lived far away. I didn't question it. Because she couldn't invite the same people to both weddings, Ryan realized. She kept her circles completely separate. Your friends never met her friends who are actually my friends. Her coworkers at the pharmaceutical company probably don't exist. The whole job might be a cover. I looked it up on my phone. The company she said she worked for existed, but when I called the HR department and asked about Kara, they'd never heard of her. She doesn't even work there, I said numbly. The job, the travel, all of it was a lie to explain why she was gone all the time. Ryan put his head in his hands. 3 years of my life with someone who doesn't exist. How do you even do this? How do you maintain two relationships, two proposals, two wedding plans without either person catching on? We tried calling Kara again. Still nothing. I texted her. I know about Ryan. Call me now. My phone rang 30 seconds later. Alex, Kara said, and she was crying. I can explain. Explain what? That you're engaged to two men, that you've been planning two weddings, that everything about your life is a lie. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because Ryan is sitting on my front porch right now and we've been comparing notes. Your job doesn't exist. Your apartment is just a cover. You've been living between us for over a year while planning to marry both of us. She was sobbing now. I didn't mean for this to happen. I fell in love with both of you. I couldn't choose. I thought I could make it work. Make it work? You can't marry two people? I know that. I was going to figure it out. I was going to call off one of the weddings. I just didn't know which one. So your plan was to wait until the last minute and then just cancel one of our weddings. I didn't have a plan. I was overwhelmed and scared and I didn't know what to do. I love both of you. I really do. You don't love us? I said. You can't love someone and lie to them for years. You can't love someone and make them plan a wedding that you know isn't real. Both weddings are real. Both relationships are real. Neither of them are real. Everything is based on lies. Where are you right now? At Ryan's apartment. Ryan grabbed my phone. Kara, it's me. You need to come to Alex's place right now. We're all going to sit down and you're going to explain this. Ryan, please, right now, Kara, or we're both calling off the weddings and you can deal with explaining it to both sides of your fake life. She showed up 45 minutes later. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were red from crying. She walked up to where Ryan and I were still sitting on the steps, and she just stood there looking at both of us. How could you do this? I asked. She sat down on the grass in front of us, started from the beginning, how she'd met Ryan and fallen in love, how he'd proposed and she'd said yes, how she'd genuinely wanted to marry him. But then she'd met me and felt the same way. She said she didn't plan it, that it just happened. So instead of choosing or being honest, you just decided to date both of us. I didn't know what else to do. I loved you both. I thought I could figure out who I wanted to be with, but the longer it went on, the harder it got to end it with either of you. So you were just going to marry one of us and ghost the other. She shook her head. I was going to call off both weddings, tell you both that I couldn't go through with it, then start over with whoever I decided I wanted. Ryan stood up. You're insane. You realize that, right? This isn't normal behavior. This isn't love. This is some kind of pathological lying. I'm not lying about loving you both. Yes, you are. Everything about you is a lie. Your job doesn't exist. You don't travel for work. You've been traveling between us, living two lives, planning two weddings. How is any of that love? She had no answer. I need to know something, I said. The wedding this Saturday, were you actually going to go through with it? Kara looked at the ground. I don't know. I'd been thinking maybe I'd call in sick, fake an emergency, something to postpone it. And then what? Hope I didn't find out about Ryan's wedding in 3 weeks. She didn't respond. Ryan pulled out his phone. I'm calling my parents, canceling the wedding. You can figure out what to tell your guests. I'm calling mine too, I said. The wedding is off. Kara started crying harder. Please don't. We can fix this. Fix what? I asked. There's nothing to fix. This isn't a relationship. This is fraud. You defrauded both of us emotionally and financially. We've both spent thousands of dollars on weddings to someone who was planning to marry someone else. Ryan was already on the phone with his parents. I could hear his mom's shocked voice through the speaker. I called my parents next. Tried to explain that the wedding was off without going into all the details. Over the next few hours, Ryan and I sat there while Kara made calls to her parents, to the few friends she actually had, 2 vendors, canceling everything. Her parents were in shock. They'd known about Ryan, but not about me. Or maybe they'd known about me, but not about Ryan. It was hard to tell. By evening, both weddings were officially canceled. Kara had moved her stuff out of Ryan's apartment while he watched. She said she'd go stay with her mom for a while. Before she left, I asked her one more time, was any of it real? She looked at me with genuine pain in her eyes. All of it was real. That's the problem. I really did love both of you. I really did want to marry both of you. I just didn't know how to choose. You should have chosen honesty, Ryan said. You should have told us from the start, given us the choice of whether we wanted to be in this situation. Kara left and Ryan and I sat there in the aftermath. We stayed in touch after that. It seemed like we should, given we'd been through this bizarre experience together. We'd meet for coffee sometimes and talk about how we were processing everything. Turns out neither of us had seen the real Kara. She'd been different with each of us, tailoring her personality to what each of us wanted. With Ryan, she'd been outdoorsy and adventurous. With me, she'd been homey and artistic. She'd literally been 2 different people. The financial damage was significant. I'd spent over $30,000 on a wedding that didn't happen. Ryan had spent similar amounts. We both looked into legal options, but lawyers said it would be hard to prove fraud without evidence. She never intended to marry either of us. The emotional damage was worse. How do you trust anyone after something like that? How do you believe anything anyone tells you? It's been 8 months. I'm still processing, still trying to understand how someone could do this. Still wondering if I missed obvious signs or if she was just that good at deception. Ryan moved to a different city. Said he needed a fresh start somewhere with no memories of Kara. We text occasionally, checking in. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Kara moved across the country, started over with a new job and a new life. Part of me wonders if she's doing the same thing to 2 new guys. I'm not dating yet. Can't imagine trusting someone enough to get serious. Every time someone shows interest, I think about Kara and how completely she fooled me. My therapist says it'll get easier with time, that eventually I'll be able to trust again. I hope she's right. The weirdest part is that I still don't know what was real. Did Kara actually love me? Or Ryan? Or was it all performance? Were there moments of genuine connection? Or was everything calculated? I'll never know. And that's almost worse than the betrayal itself. So I want to ask you something. If someone you loved turned out to be engaged to someone else at the same time as you, could you forgive them if they claimed they loved both of you? Do you think it's possible to genuinely love 2 people at once? Or is that just an excuse for lying and manipulation? Because I still don't know what to believe. If you discovered your fiancé was engaged to someone else at the same time and planning 2 weddings, how would you react? Would you confront them alone, or would you want to meet the other person? And do you think it's possible to genuinely love 2 people at once, or is that always just an excuse for betrayal? I really need to hear your thoughts on this.